So update 12.2 is finally here, and we're going to look through the patch notes and see if there's anything particularly interesting. The main thing I see is US hybrid battleships coming out of early access. Pretty spooky thing. But first we have our April Fool's event. It's actually a new one this year, totally redesigned hot tub event. So we've actually got a bit of a throwback to one of the really original April Fool's events. I really enjoyed it with toy boats, though, is what they had last time. In this one, they've changed it to rubber ducks. So we'll see how that plays. I actually kind of had a lot of fun with the old event. We'll see how this one goes. Not as interested in the whole mine laying idea that they've come up with compared to what that old insane toy boats one was. I think they gave it like ridiculously slow shell velocity 510 millimeter cannons or something like that. It was silly, as this is. So April Fool's events, it's nice to see us not just getting some more copy paste stuff like Halloween has been pretty copy paste over the last few years, the same event over and over and over again. So I'm glad they're doing this. We're getting some animated portraits. Expect to see that in the future more, especially as something to diversify some of the premium commanders or ones you have to spend real money for. The scary thing here, though, is hybrid battleships coming out of early access. Now everybody can have them, and these ships are insane, especially the Louisiana, but I think all the way through having just insane level of dive bomber power is a little much. We already have enough planes and subs to prevent us from playing the game normally, and these are certainly not going to help, especially if you get a couple Louisianas in a division. It's just filthy. A lot of these strikes are going to be at least 15 to 20,000 damage. It's pretty terrifying. And on top of that, you have Monty guns in the Louisiana's case. You don't quite have 12 of them, you have 10, but that's still more than enough to do a lot of damage. I definitely was wrecking games when I was playing the Louisiana when it first came to early access. So pretty scared of that, but definitely a powerful line if you're looking for a strong ship to grind out in this new update. Of course, British submarines are continuing in early access. I'm not particularly interested in these, to be honest with you, but hey, early access is still ongoing here. And the Battle Pass coming back again this month, and it's going to be the Ignacio Allende. The ship I actually did a video on yesterday, the Tier 8 Tech Tree ship, which I found to be surprisingly powerful. I find the amount of utility that it brings to be pretty strong, honestly. So that will be your final premium Battle Pass reward. Give you a head start on the Pan American Cruiser line, grinding that out. That's going to be coming to early access. And we get a new port to design for Rio de Janeiro. That's going to be a pretty interesting party port. Very colorful. I like it. But really what it comes down to is early access here into this new line, which should be a pretty decent line, although light cruisers are potentially really strong or not very interesting, like we've seen with the Japanese light cruiser line. But hey, I'll definitely be giving these a shot when they do eventually come out of early access. The gimmick, of course, being you have a lot of very powerful consumables on these ships, but the reload time is extremely long for those consumables, meaning you're not going to have access to those consumables all the time unless you use these special combat instructions. If you get enough hits in on a target, you can pop your F key for this activating this special combat instructions, and that will reduce the cooldowns by 80% for 30 seconds, which is almost enough time to get back any of your consumables, even if they just went on reload, which is pretty nice, especially combined with pretty powerful radar and special repair team, right? We got some special healing here that is a little bit extra, although these light cruisers do have pretty big citadels. At least the Tier 8 did. It had a pretty easy to hit large citadel, so I expect to take a lot of damage in these ships. With update 12.2, they're also changing the battle economy here. Really what it comes down to is they're giving more reward for spotting things, and specifically for secondary battleships, you're going to get more experience and rewards for secondary damage. But to balance that out and keep the economy relatively similar to what it was before, they are nerfing some of the other actions you perform in game, just so that that spotting doesn't push the economy over the top, I'm guessing. But we'll see how that shapes out. That is the gist or the intent behind these changes. We'll see if that actually comes to be true, that the average rewards are pretty similar. You can see 2% change, 1 to 3% change down here. And there's a few nerfs to some specific classes when it comes to super cruisers and carriers receiving less XP and credits, and certain tiers of battleships receiving fewer credits as well. But I would expect the overall economy to be pretty similar. I'm glad they're rewarding spotting much more, because that is a very, very powerful aspect of the game that maybe has been undervalued in the past. But we'll see how much they actually end up reducing the damage, detecting torps, spotted, defended, all that kind of stuff. It'd be sad to see an overall reduction in reward for helping your team in those ways. It looks like ranked battles this season is going to be tier 8 and 9 for Bronze and Silver League, and then Gold League will be tier 10 ships, which should be interesting. I'll probably end up playing some of these. I kind of want to play some of my tier 8 and 9 ships without having to deal with tier 10 or super ships. Ranked can be a good way to do that. Yes, and the Illinois is coming into the armory with this update. If you missed the video on it, I think this ship is pretty powerful, especially after playing it a whole nother day on stream. This ship is ridiculously powerful. Very, very, very strong ship, coming for 51,000 research points. So I'll definitely be playing it some more as I get it on my main account here. But research points, of course, a very end game resource, so it'll take you a while to get to this one. I think my overall opinion is that Ohio is still a better get initially, but the ship is just so unique, and I've had a lot of fun playing it. It's a really, really different experience having a battleship with cruiser DPM. It's kind of odd, and it's very different than battle cruisers we've seen in the past. Typically, a battle cruiser we've seen in the past is taking battleship guns, which can be a bit seen as a bit of a negative, considering the inconsistencies there if you value consistency highly, and then combining that with a weakness of cruisers, which is poor armor. Whereas this ship is combining the tankiness of a battleship with the consistent guns of a cruiser, so a positive side of the two classes, which is pretty strong, I gotta say. You'll definitely be seeing a game in the next couple of days where I got over 300k in this ship. Yeah, a tier 9. 300k. It's it can pump out some serious damage. Brawls are also continuing as a separate game mode. Tier 9 ships. You might see some Illinois in that one. might be a little bit difficult to deal with that ship, but 2v2 tier 9 could be interesting if you're interested in Brawls. As far as game balance changes, all the hybrid ships are getting a buff here to be able to deal with submarines a little bit easier. Their depth charge airstrike, so the plane version is coming to all these hybrid ships, which I guess makes sense considering they do have a deck to launch planes from. But it's kind of interesting to see how they give out this airstrike depth charge to some ships and not to others, since the airstrike one is so much stronger than the ones that just roll off the side of your ship. It's very, very difficult to use those ones. I wish they would just make it a universal thing where it's depth charge airstrikes for everyone, since it's just such an odd balancing decision. It's so painful to use the ship-based ones when the airstrike ones are just so much stronger. It's not even really a competition. We're also getting some other buffs to some tech tree and premium ships here. I'm not going to go through all of them. I think the interesting ones, though, certainly are seeing some of the Italian DDs getting buffed, which is nice to see. I find those relatively weak, personally. I'm not a huge fan of playing those. But here is something pretty powerful. The Trump getting a pretty massive torpedo buff. So pretty fast or large increase to the speed of the torps, pretty big increase to damage of the torps as well, and even more chance to cause flooding. So torps definitely going to be more powerful on the Trump. Although that ship is kind of a 3 main armament kind of ship with the airstrikes and the torps and the guns. So a bit of a gimmick ship that is getting a buff, which is kind of interesting. I didn't really feel like it needed much of a buff, since the guns on their own are relatively powerful, and then it has the extra addition of torps and the airstrikes yet as well. For the submarine players among you, there will be some new emblems for the commanders. That is being added to the game, not particularly of interest to me. Hotspot coming back for clan battles, which is cool. This map is pretty unique and tends to be a lot of fun, although I haven't really played clan battles much recently, so I don't really know, but Hotspot is one of my favorite maps in the game. It's pretty interesting. There must be some collaboration going on. We're getting a Star Kitakazi, Star Edinburgh. Basically going to be just a skin on top of those two ships, likely going to be some premium shop kind of ship that you can buy. The Holland looking pretty nice out here with the new Kings of the Sea Viking camo. No explanation on how to get it necessarily, but looks pretty cool. And some special commander and flag here looking pretty interesting for that Viking theme. A reminder here in update 12.4, so 2 updates from now, the free XP ships will be unavailable for free XP. They will be moved to the armory for coal. So you still will be able to acquire these premium ships. It's just for a different resource when it comes to update 12.4. So a couple months if you do want to get those ships for free XP. A few other changes here listed at the end of the update here. Nothing too serious though, I don't think. So that's going to be update 12.2. Very interesting because it brings Illinois, in my opinion. I think that alongside the hybrid battleships coming out of early access are going to be the 2 high points or maybe low points of this update, depending on how you look at the hybrid battleships specifically. We'll see how the April Fool's event goes, but hey, I'm looking forward to playing update 12.2, especially getting my hands on the Illinois again. I had a lot of fun playing it the other day, and I can't wait to play it some more. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Update 12.2 coming to the game. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.